Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the presentation of Life Orientation and Life Skills 12 for the Dppe and births. My name is Mr. Thaddeus Shikukuma. I will be taking you through this in the next hour or so. First of all, before we start with the deeper presentation of this subject, I would like to take you through the verbs. The verbs that are appearing here, I call them action verbs, and these are the verbs that I utilize in order to construct a question or questions. Be it in your assignments or in examination, we make use of these verbs, and these verbs guide you to deal with the question, because it will direct you on what question, they will direct you on what is expected from you, on how you should deal with that particular question. Because if the question is defined, there's no way you are going to illustrate, because that's not what the question is asking. The verbs in question, or the verbs that I'm talking about here, they are not new, but these are the verbs that are taken from your book at the very beginning of your modules. That's where you'll be able to find these verbs that I am going to present to you. So once you have a clear understanding of a particular verb, you will be able to deal with a question, because the verbs are guiding you on what you should really hit. So sit back and relax, and let's look at the verbs. Analyze. If the question is asking you to analyze, what is that really you are going to do? Of course, you are going to examine information in detail. So that's what it means to analyze. Calculate. Calculate, this verb does not really it's not really handy when it comes to our subject, life orientation and life skills, because it's more on numerical terms. So therefore, but it won't do any damage if you have an understanding of this verb. So when you are required to calculate, it means you give a numerical answer from the given figures. So you want to real figures, because it's not mathematics, it's not calculation subject. Comment. What is that you need to do? Comment. You should discuss briefly by giving positive and negative points. So it's crucial. Discuss briefly by giving positive and negative points. Compare. You are, when it says compare, what is expected from you, you draw a conclusion about the similarities and differences. Draw a conclusion about the similarities and difference. So if the question asked you to compare, that's basically what you are going to do. Contrast. Contrast, you are basically looking at the similarities, but not the differences. As simple as that. You look only for similarities, but not the differences. Criticize. What are you doing? You give reasonable judgment after weighing all the facts carefully. You look at the facts, you weigh them, and then it's when you can conclude, or when you draw to the conclusion by giving the reasonable, but you should understand reasonable judgment. So that's what it means to criticize. Deduce. What are you doing? What is required from you as a student? You should use the information provided in order to reach to the conclusion. Define. This is a very, very popular verb, and every time it comes in exam, it comes in an assignment. What are you doing? If you are defining, you give precise. Remember, underline the word precise. Precise, brief meaning, and features. So you do not need to beat around the bush, but you have to go straight to the point when you are giving the definition. Demonstrate. Show by examples. If you are demonstrating, you are showing by examples. Describe. What are you doing? You provide detailed features for and against. You provide detailed features for and against. Determine. Use, if you are determining, if the question is requested you or has asked you to determine, so use the provided information in order to work out the answer. The information is already given, you just need to utilize that in order to work out the answer. Distinguish. What are you doing? Describe two phenomena. Query, give difference of the two. There are two phenomena that are brought in spotlight. So what you are going to do, describe the two and you give the difference between the two. So that's what it means, distinguish. The other verb, estimate. Estimate, what you are doing is you give the impact of something, the impact of something. And then you have the verb evaluate. You determine the value of something as per set criteria. You should determine the value of something by looking at the criteria that are set. Explain. This is also one of the common and popular verb that is utilized in order to construct questions in your assignments or in your examination. What are you going to do? You are going to describe by indicating relationships between things. That's what it means to explain. Describe by indicating relationships between things. Find, calculate, measure, and determine. That's what it means. If the question is asking you to find, so you're going to do the calculation or the measurements and then determination. We move on with the action verbs. Identify, very simple. Recognize and name. Recognize and name. And then we have illustrate. Illustrate means describe with examples. Describe with examples. Then we have interpret. What are you doing? Describe something, explain the meaning of graphical information. Describe something, explain the meaning of graphical information. So that's what it means to interpret. So you're trying to describe something by explaining the meaning of graphical information that's provided. We still continue with the action verbs. We are the veg of the action verbs now. Examine. What does it mean? You identify detailed features of something. Identify detailed features of something. While listing, very, very simple. You just present a list of facts, names, objects, etc. And then if the question asks you to outline, it is also a very, very popular verb that is usually utilized in exam papers, drafting the questions or assignment questions. Outline means give an overview and indicate the main features. Give an overview and indicate the main features. And then we have the verb summarize. What are you doing? You focus on main ideas without giving examples. You don't need to beat around the bush here. So you just give the information straightforward. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are now moving to the presentation of this the content of this subject. What you have to take into consideration here before I start is, I am not here to read things for you and give all the details, but I'm giving you a hint. And what is that you need to look at? What is that you need to examine for you to create that understanding? I know you are teachers and you do not need spoon feeding. You need to be guided and then you hit it from there. The other caution that I would like to give is, you might see some contents that is not in your books. This is because if you are doing best, you won't have the content of Dppe, but there are some contents that are matching, that are the same. But if you see some, unless it's a general information, if you see some items or see some topics or some information that, no, I'm doing best, but I can't spot this in my book, then it means it belongs to DPPE students. So you should ignore and you concentrate only on the information that's in your modules. As I said, some information might be general and all of you are expected to look at this. Okay, let's look at the presentation. There comes the verb, define, definition of terms. And you know, what does it mean to define? Precise, brief information that you have to give. What does it mean pass over? You should look at this. While we are there, I should also emphasize that don't be limited, don't be confined, don't be restricted by the information that is in your modules only, but you should expand. Do you visit the library? Do you explore the internet? Do you read some other books, or you only confined yourself that, okay, IOL has given me this, I should only do this alone? But you are at liberty of going through internet, then get that information. You are at the liberty of exploring the internet, of reading books, of reading what the dictionary says, especially when it comes to the definition of words. And then you bring it to what you are given here. You should not go outside the topic and say, okay, I'll only use the information that I get from the dictionary. But you should bring the information that you have and you marry it with the information that's in the guide. And then you hit it from there. Okay, so therefore we have those verbs: Passover, Christmas, Good Friday, Easter, Anno Domini, before Christ. Have a clear understanding of this, so that when it comes to examination, you must be able to define what Passover is, to define what Christmas is, to define what Good Friday is. We continue with some other definitions. So as I have told you earlier, you must know what is that. What does it mean? Define the meaning of definition, so that you'll be able to tackle this type of questions. Okay, we have the verb humanity. What is humanity? Or the other module said, what is humanness? So you must know which one belongs to you, which one falls in your books, since you are birth and DPPE. Personal development. Some of this can be general as well. Personal development, you should understand it into different perspective, whether you are doing birth or DPPE. Self-image, what is it? Ancestors, what is it? White wedding, what is a white wedding? Mass wedding. And some other words, if it does not appear in your books, then it belongs to the other group. Remember that. You should always take that into consideration. Elopement, what is it? Weekend wedding, double wedding, and Holy Communion. So you should understand each of these, then you'll be able to define, to give the definition of those terminologies. And then we move to religion. We talk about religion. There are different types of religions in our country. As a teacher of life orientation, life skills, or a student of that particular subject, and a teacher also where you are teaching learners, you must know what the curriculum requires you to accomplish. In our case, we have, for example, in a religion here, in your books, it talks about loving according to the Bible. I know not all of you are Christians, and not all of you are owning the Bible, but since you are a student of this subject, life orientation, life skills, you need to read what it says about loving according to the Bible. And we are living in a marked religious society where we have learners in our classes from different religious backgrounds. So you need to educate them according to what the content of the subject is. Let's talk about persecution of Jesus, for example. What did it say? Your books. The task of religious leaders. What do they do, the religious leaders? We have pastors, a bishop, we have whatever. What is that they have to do? Some are doing the baptism. Some are conducting funeral ceremonies. Some are conducting baptism, confirmation. Some are conducting memorial services. There are a lot of tasks that they perform. You should read about that. And then the crucifixion of Jesus. What does it? How Jesus was crucified on the cross. Talk about this, learn about this, study about this. Then you'll be able to answer questions based on this when it comes to religion. Not necessarily your own religion, but can be a religion of other people. But you need to learn about it so that you'll be able to answer questions in an examination that are based on those. And the qualities of religious leaders. What qualities should they possess? Should they be controversial? I don't know. Should they be open-minded? I don't know. Should they be partially? So these are the information that we are looking at, the qualities of religious leaders, because they should have certain qualities. And then our books dictate us to look at the characteristics of Jesus. What are the characteristics of Jesus when he was on earth, for example? What is that he has done? He loved everyone. He preached love to everyone. He decided to sacrifice his life for everyone. You look at this. Was he a peaceful person? Was he an approachable person? You look at that. And then we look at the general issues that are in your books, be it in birth or Dppe. We look at the qualities and functions of inspirational leaders. Everybody, each one of you, whether you're a principal, you're a teacher, you're an inspector of education, you have people that you are looking at, people that inspire you. Everybody has a role model. What qualities do you consider for you to say the person is your role model? The learners back in the classroom, they are looking at you mostly as a teacher to display certain qualities that are worth being followed. But a teacher should be a role model because they are looking at you, especially the young ones. The teacher is never wrong. They come with their homeworks at home and say, okay, this is my homework, and you say a certain word and say, no, that's not the way my teacher said. So you should be exemplary in a way. But remember, here we are talking about what are the qualities or perhaps the functions of inspirational leaders. What is that they do? What qualities they should possess? What are their functions? What is that they carry out? You go back to your modules and then you will have a picture of what I'm talking about. Death penalty. Quite interesting topic. This is general. You might not find it into your books. But if you are talking about death penalties, it existed in Namibia, those yes. You should dig deep down into the history and find out death penalties. What was being done if somebody is sentenced to death penalties? It's still being practiced in some of the countries, though, in the world. What countries are those? And what are the criminal activities that are punishable that lead to death penalty in those countries? You need to explore more information on this. As I said, some of the information are general, and you need to explore the information from different sources, from different internet sites, from different countries, for you to be able to answer questions. Because questions can come that way. And you cannot say, but this question, death penalty, we were never... it was never published in our books. So you need to be someone who can conduct the research from different sources for for you to have that information and to be able to present it in exam. Ways to enhance self-image and self-esteem. We talk about low self-esteem. Maybe you are a teacher and you have low self-esteem. What are the ways that you can utilize to make sure that you enhance, you strengthen it, that you will be able to stand as an individual and build up and have that self-esteem and then say, yes, it's me. I remember when I was doing my school-based studies, teaching practice, we go out in the field and the lecturers have to follow us just to see and to observe our lessons. A colleague of mine was, it was something else. When she saw the lecturers coming in the class to the observation, it was all chaos and she was messing up. She was, shivering. It was summertime, but it looked like it's winter. So maybe there are teachers also of that nature also in the field, and they are teaching the kids out there. You don't have that self-confidence to deliver the subject content. So you need to have words in order to enhance your self-image as well as your self-confidence, so that you'll be able to be an effective teacher who is going to make sure that the kids have performed to maximum. And also this information or this knowledge or these skills, you can also enhance the self-esteem of your learners in the classroom. Once you know these ways, find out what are these ways, how to go about them to make sure that you utilize them. And you should also learn about the roles of the Council of Churches in Namibia, CCN. It's here, the headquarters, I think, is still here in Katutura. What are their roles? What is that they do? Do they go out and preach? Do they bring all the churches in Namibia, regardless of what religion, and have that common goals or common understanding, so that they can operate in a smooth environment where everybody will feel welcome? You should know what are the roles of the Council of Churches in Namibia. That's one of them, bringing all the churches together, regardless of the religion that the person or the church preach about or believe in, so that they can, bring them together to have a fair playing field when it comes to preaching whatever they preach. The other very, very important aspect here is preparing for an interview. An interview can be a cumbersome or torturesome exercise whereby an individual feels intimidated. But the people that feel intimidated and don't feel at home when they go for an interview, one reason is they are not prepared. So there are many, many tips that you can employ, that you can utilize in order to prepare yourself to make sure that you get that dreamed job or dream job of yours that you want to acquire or that you want to achieve. So there are many tips. For example, you can explore more information about the company. You can go to the website of that particular company or the ministry, or get the roles and responsibility, or what we call job description. Prepare yourself nicely, dressing code. So it talks about a lot of things that you need to prepare. We talk about practicing, rehearsing and making sure that you are able to deliver. You are the person that's going to be taken in that particular interview. So you need to know how to prepare for an interview. So these items, for you to put them now on the paper in the examination room, you need to go through what are the tips, how to prepare, what is that you have to take into consideration if you want to be taken as the best candidate on that job that you have been dreaming of for some time. Because you cannot be a teacher forever. From day one at the age of 23 until the age of 60, you are just an ordinary teacher. You want to grow. You want to be head of department. And you don't want to stick there. You still want to move to the next step, principal. And you don't want to be a principal for forever. You want to be inspector of education. And you don't want to be inspector of education forever. Deputy director of education, maybe, or the director of education. And eventually you can move to permanent secretary. Why not? Minister. But if you can only get there if you are able to display certain qualities. You can only display those certain qualities if you are prepared, exploring information, getting all the necessary information, researching and knowing what are they likely to ask, what is your what might be your job description, the next level, etc., etc. So it needs preparation. So therefore, preparing for an interview requires certain tips that you need to learn about. If they come in examination, so you're going to hate this, you're going to nail it. We talk about family financial responsibilities. What are the points to be taken into consideration here? What are the family financial responsibilities here? If there's no food at home, who should finance it? It's the family members, perhaps the head of the family. You look at these responsibilities as a family person. What are the responsibility? What are your responsibility? Making sure that your kids have gone to school. Some people make sure that, okay, now government schools are, it's free education, primary and secondary education, but yet there are those parents that want to go extra miles to dig deep down to their pockets to make sure that their kids are sent to private schools. And then it's their responsibilities to make sure that their kids' education is financed. Buying a house over the heads of your family members, making sure that they get clothes, all the things are asking money. So it's financial issues. Saving money to make sure that you take care of your family. So you must know these responsibilities of family when it comes to financial aspects. Okay, as I said, some of the questions that might come in exam or in the assignment are not taken from the books. So let's talk about, for example, let's talk about baby dumping in Namibia. This can be general. It might not be from our the books. Now, the issue is solutions to baby dumping in Namibia. Ladies and gentlemen, you must be innovative, creative, to make sure that you are answering the questions in an appropriate manner. I spoke about creativity and then innovative, but what I want to bring to your attention is exposing yourself to the current affairs. What are they saying? Read newspapers. There are people that do not read newspapers and they don't know what is happening in their country. They are not well informed. Of course, maybe you are not access to the television or to the radio, but you even don't bother to buy a newspaper. Some newspapers are even for free of charge. Update yourself, acquaint yourself with the current situations, with the current affairs, so that you'll be able to answer any question that might come your way. You can only do that if you update yourself. Explore the net and see, okay, what are the trends? What are they saying? Anything reported on baby dumping, and perhaps how do we go about it? Issues of this nature. Ladies and gentlemen, the other important aspect is curriculum vitae. Do you own one? You need to have one. You need to know how to prepare a curriculum vitae. What details should you include in the curriculum vitae? Because some other companies or some other employers, they only want to see your curriculum vitae before they shortlist you for the job. But your curriculum vitae should have certain standards. There should be some information that should be included in your curriculum vitae. How to prepare it? What should it contain? You should learn about it. because some can be, basic information that is needed today: your name, your surname, your date of birth, your place of birth, what you're currently doing, your postal address, your email address, and the references. Who are the people to be contacted that know you better? So there are more information when it comes to the curriculum. So you should be able to draft a curriculum and be able to present it in a certain manner. Maintaining healthy interpersonal relationship. This is very, very important. So, as I said, the information that is being presented here, it's not only for you to utilize them in examination, but some you might need them in your growth, as growing in the career of teaching profession. So you should know how to maintain healthy interpersonal relationship. What did your book say? Let's say at work, for instance, you are at work and you need to build that relationship between you and your colleague, because when you are going to experience problems, who are going to stand in to help you in the problem that we experience? There are issues at schools where teacher A does not speak with teacher B is not in speaking terms with teacher C, etc., etc. Let's say you have lost the loved one and you need that comfort. Now, if you have lost your mom or your dad or your husband or your wife or your child, who is coming for comfort? If no one, because you are not in speaking terms with almost everyone at school, there's no one who is coming to show their respect, to show their last respect to that individual that has passed on, or maybe yourself that has passed on. What will they talk about you if you were in fighting with everybody? Of course, you are gone and you might not worry that, okay, I'm no more alive, and but we need, in any case, at our work, at home, in our community, we need to build that healthy interpersonal relationship with others. And also as a teacher, teaching the children in the classroom how to do that, how to build healthy interpersonal relationship with others as human beings. You should also know about the steps of traditional funeral ceremonies. Perhaps by now you might have been attending a lot of funeral ceremonies of different individuals from different cultural backgrounds. You must know how do they do it in a colored community, in Herero community, in Zambezi community, Kavango community, Nama Damara, etc. You should know the steps that are involved on how to go about this. The other general issues that we can look at is the benefits of forgiving someone. You don't want to hold grudges against an individual forever, and we'll say forever we never speak to this person. What are the benefits when you forgive someone? Because at any environment, at any workplace, etc., you are expecting backstabbing and stepping on somebody's toes and this unnecessary gossiping and all that. But we should learn how to forgive others. What do you benefit if you do not forgive these people? You will have those grudges forever, and then in fighting and among the staff members, etc. But if you forgive, what do you benefit? Peace of mind. You are going to sleep peacefully. You are going to walk freely in front of your colleagues because you don't have any grudges against them. The benefits of emotional pain, you should also explore on this. You read and get the information on the benefits of the emotional pain. Other general issues is measures to overcome stress. As I said, anybody can get stressed, but there must be a way of overcoming stress. What are those ways? How do you go about it? Advantages of helping fellow human beings. Some people are so stingy and they do not even want to be associated with other fellow human beings. You don't want to help others. But there are benefits, there are advantages of helping fellow human beings. It doesn't matter what color the person is. It doesn't matter what financial status the person is standing. It doesn't matter what position the person has in the community. Poor, rich, average, wherever the person does not have income or so. What are the advantages of helping that individual? So you should look at the advantages. Psychological and emotional needs of human beings. What are the psychological as well as the human needs of human beings? I've spoken about a person that needs emotional support because maybe the person has lost a child or lost a loved one, etc. The person just needs to belong. The person just needs to be loved, regardless of what position the person has in the community. And what are the problems faced by single parents? It might be a lot, because as a single parent, you are only alone and there's no support from outside. Bring up a child, let's say you are a lady, and then to bring up the boys, perhaps you don't have tips and ways of bringing up the boys. Maybe you also have girls, but girls side, you know how to approach them because you are a lady, but there are issues, financial issues, emotional issues, ways just of bringing up a child as a single parent. It's maybe the environment also where the kids are growing, and you yourself as an individual, you know how to play all the roles, the role of a father and the role of a mother. It's not easy. So there are a lot of problems apart from what I've mentioned. But as a teacher now, you should be able to explore more information when it comes to these problems. Maybe some of the things, we see them in our community, and we would be able to name them, because, as I said, explore more information, use experience. Some things are just practical, but you just want to base yourself in the book. But, be more flexible and explore more venues. Traditional healers in Namibia. What does the Constitution of the Republic of Namibia say about this? What are the policies are saying about the traditional healers in Namibia? Are they acceptable? Are they doing any damage somehow in the society? And some of this information, as I have said it earlier, you can explore that information through reading newspapers, current affairs, update yourself, acquaint yourself with the information. The information is just surrounding you in your community, so you must utilize that information in order to answer some of these questions. Okay, loving gestures to family. What are the gestures? What are the gestures? Loving gesture that you give to the family, hugging, giving them that love, a tap on the shoulder. There are a lot. Basic needs fulfilled by the funeral. What are the basic needs that are fulfilled by the funeral? Some funerals, they can be large in terms of food and drinks, but what are the basic needs that we are looking at? Perhaps the coffin, perhaps the small refreshment, etc. Age and traditional leaders. One have asked me a question: why are we only having older people that are traditional leaders? What does age has to do with the traditional leaders? What is the connectivity? Read into your books and then you'll be able to tell this. Dressing code for interview. How should you dress? How should you dress for an interview? People dress differently these days. Imagine somebody's going in with a mini skirt for an interview. Will you be taken if you are revealing some other hidden parts of your body? You look at this. What are the dressing codes for interview? Ubuntu, personality and values. We talk about Ubuntu. What does Ubuntu mean? You should get that understanding first. What does Ubuntu mean? I know it's not an English word, but it's a word taken from one of the South African languages, so you must know what is Ubuntu personality values, so you connect that and have a wider understanding of what it means. What are the ways to curb selfish attitudes in children? Ways to curb, to stop, to leave it out. Because, as a teacher, I said, you are multitasking and you have huge responsibility and roles to fulfill. What are the ways now that can be utilized in order to chase away or to remove the selfish attitudes among the children or the learners in your classroom? You must know them, then utilize them. I mean, you should utilize the ways that you can employ them just to make sure that kids, they are not selfish. Because if they grow selfish at a young age, they are likely to be selfish when they grow up, when they are adults. Citizen engagement and responsibility. How do we engage the citizens to make sure that they participate, they utilize their skills and knowledge in things that are affecting us in our community, in our society? So you must know about this. And caring for others is connected also to the other previous one that I've just presented. You should be a caring individual regardless of what status do you have in the community, regardless of the color and economic status, etc. Turning criminals to good citizens. We don't want the criminals to remain criminals forever, but there should be ways, of turning them into responsible citizens that can be responsible. That can be done in the prisons, and these people can turn into responsible citizens once they are released, because they will not be there forever. There are programs that can be utilized, welding or classes they're being taught or improving, and when they come out, they are responsible people. Like they can do the welding, they can do the plumbing, they can even teachers, etc., or lawyers that are graduating from prison. Bullying, this is quite common in schools where learners are bullying one another. They are bullies, and also at workplaces, etc. So read more about this. Self-esteem and self-image needs. I've spoken about this, how to build it and what are the needs. Helping grieving people. How do we help our colleagues that are grieving? So there are ways you can explore more information about this. Getting involved with sick, injured, and disabled. How do we get involved as individuals, as responsible citizens of the country? What factors of social equity and well-being? What are those factors? Objectives of an interview. What does the interview trying to achieve? Children's social problems and benefits of personal growth. You should read about this and then be able to answer questions. If I ask you the benefits of personal growth, you'll be able to tell or to write or to pen them down. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, finally we have come to the conclusion. I would like to say, prepare thoroughly for examination or for assignments. You must revise all the units and once more go back to verbs, the verbs that we have spoken about at the very beginning of the presentation. You should have an understanding of each of these verbs so that you'll be able to answer questions based on what the verb says or based on the meaning of the verb. You should utilize the experience as a teacher or maybe as a student. So far, you have also gained a lot of experience because as a student, you do more research because you are trying to enrich yourself. Do not, that's very, very important. Please do not leave any question unattended. To attempt any question that comes your way. I would like to wish you all the best, all of you in your studies. You can reach me on my mobiles, 0811480977 or 0812531801. You can also drop me an email, t_shikukumwa@yahoo.co.uk. I wish you all the best and thank you very much for your attention.